I'm sitting here with Rav Yonatan Udren in the neighborhood of Nachlaot in Yerushalayim, in a famous and very old Beit Midrash called Bati Broda. And some say Rav Ari Levine used to pray here. And we're gonna learn an Agada, an old ancient Jewish rabbinical tale story, and then we're going to talk about the spiritual meaning and how it's relevant to our life. Okay, so this is the source. It's very short, but it's very profound. It comes from the Gemara Brachot 26a. Rabbi Yossi said in the name of Rabbi Hanina, prayer was established by the Avot, by Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi disagreed and said prayer was founded in place of the sacrifices. Okay, that's the Gemara. So before I let you speak, Rav Yonatan, I want to just bring Rav Kook's interpretation of this, and then we'll discuss if we agree with it, disagree with it, add to it. So Rav Kook says that in Einayah, in his commentary to this Gemara, that he says the first opinion of Rabbi Yossi, that prayer was established by Avram, by Yitzhak, by Yaakov, that they were the first ones to do Shachrit. Avram did Shachrit, Yitzhak did Mincha, and Yaakov did Mariv, symbolizes prayer should start from an individual place. And each one of those forefathers of ours found their own unique personal way to connect to prayer. So too, when we pray, we have to find a very individualized connection to prayer. Whereas the second opinion, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, he says prayer was founded in the place of the sacrifice. In other words, there was sacrifice in the morning in the Beit HaMikdash, there was sacrifice in the afternoon, in the night. Rav Kook says that symbolizes prayer should start from a national place, from what can I pray about for other people, and only individual stuff comes later. So really, Rav Kook thinks this is an ancient Jewish debate about what is the essence of prayer. Is it about self-expression, about prayer about yourself, or is it about caring for other people?
Beautiful. I've not seen that. I've not seen that Perush on that. It's a very beautiful idea. Before we dive in, I just want to say, Boker Tov, Rav Ari. It's beautiful to be here with you, to sit with you, to talk Torah. This is an amazing space. I mean, we peeked into the shul a little bit earlier, and it's such a special place. So incredible to sit in Yerushalayim and be able to unravel these texts after 2,000 years after they were written here, and to come back and to sit in a Beit Midrash in Nachlaot to be able to speak about them. It's a schut. It's an amazing thing. This just came to me as we're sitting here. The first opinion that says that the tefillot were set up by the Avot sounds like this is something that is our spiritual heritage. This is something that is ingrained in our spiritual DNA, just as the midot, the character traits of Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, their kindness, their uprightness, their compassion are our spiritual heritage. So too, the act of tefillah, of calling out beyond oneself, something that is a part of our spiritual heritage. Whereas the second opinion, that this is in the place of korbanot, it's interesting. It sounds like we had to create something in order to hold on to a foundational aspect of who we are, and as Rav Kook said beautifully, as a nation. But it's like almost like a place setter until we get back to our authentic or real avodat Hashem, which is korbanot. In the meantime, we have a placeholder called tefillah, and that's held on to by the individual. And as we walk in Galut for 2,000 years, I mean, the Anshe Knesset HaGadol, the sages of the Great Assembly, when they codified the tefillot, I think that there was a very deep understanding that we don't see the end of this Galut. We don't know where this is going. We don't know where the end is. This is getting lost. So we need a framework to hold on to us. So the same way that the Korbanot held on to this relationship between us as a nation and individuals, this relationship between us and Hashem, we're going to implant that inside every Jew so that these years of Galut, they'll be able to hold on to it. So those are two very, very different perspectives.
I very much like what you're doing with this Agada, because you're saying it's almost like the first opinion is saying prayer is indigenous to Judaism. In other words, a Jew should love praying because this is an essence of what Avram and Yitzhak and Yaakov did. Whereas the second opinion is saying, well, prayer really isn't the main thing, what makes you Jewish. It should be a more national thing, going to a temple, going to a Beit Knesset, and if you get individual meaning, that's a side thing. So it's in the place of sacrifices. We're holding on, which is, I think, a great way to think about two different ways of relating to Judaism. For some people, they relate very deeply to individual meaning, meditation, hitbodedut, tefillah, even learning Torah, I think, is quite individualized, your connection to your ideas. And other people say, well, my Jewish connection isn't about spiritual growth, it's about community. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, I'm saying that in a profound way, like I like feeling belonged. So the second opinion, which is, well, prayer is just in the place of the Beit HaMikdash, is saying, yeah, for now, because we don't have this great place to go to, we'll do this individual thing. But I really like another way to think about it is, I was giving a class this morning, and some student said to me, the main reason I go to prayer, Rav Ari, is in the Beit Knesset at home, is because I like being with my friends. So at first I had this negative feeling that, it should be about spiritual elevation. But on the other hand, why should I put that down? Like Jewish community, that's very profound. Am Yisrael, Achdut, we're in the 3 weeks right now. Jewish unity, if there's a place that brings Jews together. So that second opinion should not be looked down upon. I very much like your interpretation.
Because it holds on to a sense of community. That's it allows us to connect to that, especially now, as you're saying, during the 3 weeks, this time of mourning and reflection. Yeah, that's... Yeah. I said, just to throw back a question towards you, you use the word indigenous, which is an interesting word. Maybe, would authentic be synonymous with that? According to the second opinion, is tefillah authentic or indigenous? Or is it something from outside that we kind of put in order to...
Well, I had this class maybe 2 weeks ago, and this old man came up to me and he said, Rabbi, Jews don't know how to pray. They just read the words in the Siddur. And he said, Buddhists, Hinduists, Christians, they know about meditation, but Jews don't. So he had this very strong sense that prayer is not authentic to Judaism. And obviously I don't agree with him because I feel very connected to Rabbi Nachman and meditation. But it was interesting. It really fits with the second opinion, which is it's just in the place of sacrifices. Yeah, and I think there are many Jews that I know that I grew up with. If you would say Judaism for them, they definitely would not think prayer. They would think community, they would think aliyah, Zionism, and I think maybe the second opinion is saying, the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, which is really a spiritual center or even a cultural center for the Jewish people, is really the essence, and prayer just comes about later. Whereas that first opinion, which I think I identify more with, which is Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov are our spiritual role models. So when I pray, I have to realize I'm walking in the footsteps of giants here. But again, what I like about the Gemara and the Agadot is it always leaves it open. Usually, there's this very strong sense of, we're going to show you different perspectives in Judaism. They're all legitimate. That's why we're putting them in the book. And anyone who's listening, I guess you can ask yourself this question when you're reading this text together with us now. Which do you more identify with? A personalized, individual connection? Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, they are role models of individual prayer, like Rav Kook said, or is it just in the place of sacrifices, the Beit HaMikdash, this national connection? Is that really what your Judaism is about? And there really isn't a correct answer. It's more a question of, finding yourself within this ancient tradition.
Yeah, and I think that it has to do with both of them. A lot of the Agadot, where we see different perspectives, unlike the legalistic text, where they're standing and holding one particular halakhic position, in the Agadic text, because we're not talking about the either or, it can be an and. And I think if we were able to open up the Gemara and see how that deals with this specifically, I think the bottom line is that it really is an and. That there is both this spiritual connection that we have, and just to use the language of Rav Kook, as an individual, and that's essential, and especially because we're talking about the Avot. The Avot were not a nation. They were the individuals. Right? The Torah wasn't given to Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Nevertheless, this is something that we carry with us and continue to carry with us as a nation as well. I'm just wondering, you talked about, it was very interesting, Jews don't know how to pray. As someone who struggles daily with this, just be honest, I love the opportunity for 3 times a day prayer, but it is very, very challenging to have feeling real dedication and devotion behind those words. But what is really prayer? I mean, this might be too far afield to go into the understanding of what prayer is, but Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, their relationship with God, if we compare that to the experience of what it was to walk into the temple, or what all of the halachot around what the temple is, and the dress of the Kohen Gadol, and the experience of what it is to bring a sacrifice, it was meant to evoke a sense of wow, encounter with something beyond. And whether it's from the avot or this in the place of korbanot, the essential facet, I think, of Jewish tefillah is that encounter, that touching something beyond myself. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge that I admit I face. I know a lot of other people do.